catch a mid sip to start it off.
Mid sip. This is my championship sip because Red Bull are still the best in New York after last night's game, and you can't tell me otherwise. Mainly because I get to control the outcome because I stayed up till 11 o'clock waiting for this game to run. And they decided after all the lightning passed that the pitch was unusable, as if they couldn't look out there and see giant puddles and just call the game from the stands. Matt and I were texting about that. It was absolutely ridiculous. We're sitting there like, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. And then they're like, all right, game's on. And then 3 minutes, they're like, yeah, game's off. Like, God. So that was a fun night last night. But welcome, everybody, to Season 2, Episode 19. Are we on 19 now? These are getting so infrequent. I'm forgetting which episodes we're on.
We are on
episode
19.
All right. Yeah. It has been a little bit. When was the last time we posted the last one? We posted the last one 2 weeks ago. So, yep, that sounds about right. It seems like every other week we're getting these out, and then we'll also do a live stream in there here and there whenever Connor's job lets him.
Yeah, it'll be after this weekend. We'll be back on schedule.
All right, that sounds good. Luckily, we are joined with a third co-host. Everybody say hi to Fathead Connor. What's up? So in Adam's wake, we have our third host. He doesn't know much, but neither does.
Listen, that just means whatever my opinion is, it's ×2. So everything I say outvotes whatever you say.
That is excessive and unnecessary. I love it. This week's episode is based around a recap of, to this point in the season, we're roughly halfway through. I think most teams are halfway through in terms of games played. Who's been the most impressive for each team and who has kind of underperformed. One player per team per host. Maybe we share them, maybe we don't. But just a recap of players that have really had great years so far that we didn't expect to have, who expected to have great years but didn't. This takes out anybody who's been injured. Alexander Pato, Danny Hosen, those guys have been hurt basically since week 1. We're not really highlighting them. Other than that, I think that explains it pretty well. A lot better than I usually do.
No, it was pretty spot on.
Scarf of the week, Connor is being a meme. So I've got Red Bull Christmas. Little Christmassy digital one there. And then Connor is rocking
NYCFC.
He's a meme.
I said before we started, I said if we're not going to have the Hudson River Derby on the field, then we're getting it on the pod.
Gonna get it here, and I'm cool with that. And somebody had to pick up the scarfless ways, so Fathead Connor doesn't have a scarf, which tracks for normal Connor. It's like he just passed down what he's got. We love it. Yeah, I think next week probably I'm gonna dig into finding some new scarves. That's what I think I'm gonna do.
I think I hear that from you every week. I'm
gonna
get new scarves. Never gets new scarves.
Yeah, but this one I'm actually gonna do. I just got to think about which ones I want. I think I'm like you. I think I'm gonna wait until there's a good deal coming out and get some of those.
That's not a bad idea.
But all right, why don't we just jump right into this so we don't make it a full, because this might take a little long if we disagree on some things.
Yeah, we could try to, because we got to go through 27 teams, so we can try to get through this.
We do. And can you guess who our first team is? I'll give you a hint. Eastern Conference, first half of the alphabet.
Columbus Crew.
Ding, dude, get off of my computer. This is absurdity. I'm not okay with this. Okay, Columbus Crew. So this one was tough for me because for a team that was supposed to, during our preseason predictions, just absolutely tear this league apart, nobody's really impressed. It seems like everybody's underperformed, right? The only person, after looking through a list of the roster and how they've played, that might fill that impressive title is Abubakar Keita, 21-year-old homegrown center back. He's been pretty good. You know, you watch him, he's been holding his own in a team that has been vastly underperforming, but nobody in there who we, like I said, you've got your Zelarayan's, your Pedro Santos, the players that we expect to be good have been good. And that's kind of the other description of this is players like Nani, Zelarayan, Carlos Hill, like players that we expect to be really, really good, don't fit the most impressive title because we expect that from them, right? So there's a higher level. So I've kept them off of this list. The only person who everybody else outside of that has been rather under impressive. So I've given Abu Kaita this title right now. But outside of that, I think everybody's been, and again, they've been kind of hit hard with injuries and with international call-ups, right? Eli Room missed a little bit. Zardes missed a little bit. But yeah, that's kind of what I went with. The other person I thought about was Darlington Nagby. But again, he's one of those guys who I kind of just expect, 96% passing percentage. It's kind of just what I expect out of him for 20 games.
Yeah, part of the Nagby course.
Yeah. But again, you're looking at guys like Artur, who was a monster last year, 6 games played. Milton Valenzuela, 4 games played. Even Abu Kaita, 12 games played, and 4 of them are sub appearances. Like a lot of this team hasn't been consistent enough to be like, yeah, a lot of these players are up there for really impressive,
Yeah, I think. So I almost took this in a different way. Like
Mhm.
I know rather than going for guys who played above the level we expected them to play at the beginning of the season, I kind of just went for who is playing the best, like who is their most influential, like who is their best player essentially. And then I kind of took the second part as more so like the reverse, like who's someone that we expected to do good things and has kind of been underperforming.
Gotcha.
So I would probably say Zelarayan for Columbus. I think that's a pretty safe choice to pick for someone who's been playing very well for them. 6 goals, 2 assists. I'm sure he's very much involved, even when it's not necessarily about goals and assists. I mean, he's the attacking midfield player that they were hoping to get, and I think he's lived up to it so far. Maybe not to the exact level we were expecting, but I think he's definitely been a quality player for them. And I kind of agree that you could put maybe some other people like Nagby in this case as another like honorable mention shout. For me, for the most underperforming, I really have no idea what the injury situation has been for players throughout the season. So feel free to correct me if you know the injury history of these guys a little bit more, but I would go with Kevin Molino.
Yep, that's who I went with too. 11 games, 1 goal, 0 assists on a team that hasn't really been scoring at all after coming off the season that he had with Minnesota.
Yeah.
That definitely warrants underperforming. If I were to go back and say, all right, we'll do 3 picks then. We'll go most impressive, best player, most unimpressive, right?
Okay.
So we'll do that, and that's cool too. So I agree with you, Zelarayan, in the best player. There's not much of a question as to why. But yeah, no, Kevin Molino definitely is my pick for least impressive. Just under 600 minutes on a team that's having tons of scoring issues. You think he would have the technical ability to step in and make a difference, but he just kind of has been another guy, which has been very interesting. So maybe oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say that that I agree. You don't really hear his name much anymore.
No.
Whereas Minnesota was like at least like once every other week, you'd be hearing about Molino doing something for them.
And it's not like he's not playing with good players either, right? You know, like how he played off Reynoso in Minnesota. He's playing
Oh
off
yeah,
of Zelarayan and Pedro Santos. Like,
yeah.
um,
He's got a
so
great team around him here.
yeah, he's got a really good team around him, and that might
Just
be the
doesn't.
issue. He might have been bang average in Minnesota and just looked really good because everybody else was bad. I don't know. Maybe Minnesota fleeced him. Maybe we got this one wrong. That would definitely be the first time, and it will definitely be the last.
Yeah, we're never gonna get anything wrong ever again.
No, I mean we never really do. So
No,
right, Aaron Trusty.
just erase all the clips of when whenever we said something wrong. Just never happened.
I don't have clips, so it's okay.
Perfect.
All right, so I think we're good there. Eastern
Yeah.
Conference, second half of the alphabet.
Mm. Toronto FC.
Nope.
Ugh,
Philadelphia Union. It was a good shout. It was a good shout. I'll let you go first.
okay. Philly have had a very solid year, as Philly always does. To me, it's hard to pick there's no one that really stands out like way above the rest. Like there's a lot of guys that are very good players. Hmm. All right, I'll throw kind of a different one out there for
Okay.
best player. I'll go for Kai Wagner.
Okay.
I know he plays left back, so he may not necessarily be the most influential on the field, but I just think that he's just absolutely rock solid for them, and he's such a good player for them.
I like it.
Um,
But we know that. I've made that clear before.
yeah, he's good going up the field. He's good defensively. He's a big part of that Philadelphia back line that makes them so good. It's tough to pick someone, like, kind of as I said before, like even just looking at this who scored list, the man of the matches are very spread out. I mean, nobody has more than two. It's all over the place. Usually someone's always stepping up for them in a game. Um, I don't know. How do you want to do this? You want me to run through all of them, or do you want to go like one each?
Run through all of them, and then I'll come back and wrap it around.
All right. I'll say for me, the most impressive, or I don't remember what we're calling this. Is that what we're calling it?
Yeah. So we'll call it best player, most impressive player, and least impressive player.
Okay. I'll go Jack Elliott for most impressive.
Okay.
I know he's obviously not like some youngster that just came onto the scene this year. He's got some stature with Billy in the past, but I feel like he's been super strong this year. Kind of the same thing with Wagner. He's been very solid in that back line for Philly. I mean, we know Philly's very good defensively. I mean, they have a very solid back line. It's tough to break them down. It's one of the things I feel like they're best known for, besides their academy. And I think he's really, in the past, I kind of thought he had bits where he seemed like he was pretty strong, but then there were points where I was like, I'm not so sure. But I feel like this year he's been much more consistent. And it's felt like a stronger presence from him in the back line. So he's my pick for that one. And then, oh man, picking a disappointing one is it's going to be tough on this team. Whew. I would say this is kind of tough just because I feel like I know his role typically with Philly. But a part of me wants to say Ilsinho.
Ilsinho, do it. That man should be slated for the rest of his life.
I know he doesn't usually start. If he does, he doesn't go very long. So I know he's not usually on the field for much. And I know he's 35, he's up there in age. But I think he's kind of like lost his place on the team. I just don't think he is I just don't think he really served. There's not really a need for that role that they used to have for him. He's only gotten 79 minutes this season, so I mean, maybe there was an injury or something, but it seems like Jim Curtin doesn't really have that need for him anymore.
Well,
Um,
when you're not playing Red Bull, there's no need for him. He's only good against us.
and that's why you have your animosity towards him. Um,
Uh,
but yeah, that's a tough one for me. So I'm kind of open to hearing what you have to say on that one.
no, it was good. I was thinking about Ilsinho when I was looking at this list. I was thinking about because here's the thing, right? If you look at like the bottom half of this list, where who scored puts out some ratings about people who have done what they've done. Excuse me. One, two, three, four. Four of them are 20 years old or under. And then you got Matt Freeze, who played 3 games, and then Ilsinho. They're just a bunch of U23 kids. Like you can't really, but that's the entire team they're running with, right? For me, I'm actually going to change my pick here. So originally I had written down Corey Burke, scoring 4 goals basically a goal every 2 games, on a team that, he hasn't really been talked too much about. But I'm going to change it to Leon Flock. Leon Flock came out as a 20-year-old defensive midfielder, and has just outright been one of the best young midfielders in the league. There were rumors he was in the at 20 years old playing, half a season. He was in the Gold Cup pool, right? He was about to be called up to the U.S. men's national team at some point, for a kid who had 0 minutes last year. So most impressive will be Leon Flock for me. My best player is actually going to be Jack Elliott, the guy who is obviously the center of the back line, right? But from May 16th through May 31st, basically put up 3 straight shutouts against Red Bull, which isn't impressive, DC United, which is pretty good, and then Portland, and he scored a goal in that game. He also had a shutout against Atlanta early in the year in the Champions League, shut out the Fire, and shut out Toronto FC, and shut out New York City this year. So he's been the center point of this back line that has been relatively good. I mean, they don't give up a lot of multi-goal games. There are the one-offs here and there, right? So you've got Inter Miami with 2 goals. How did Inter Miami win that game? New York City with 2 goals, which is a tough team to defend against. 2 goals against Atlanta when they started getting good again. 3 goals against Chicago, which is a weird one. But that's really it. And then there's there's only 2 more games after that. They gave up two goals or more. He has just been a monster in the air. Little bit of an attacking give back as well. But 2 tackles a game, 2 interceptions a game, 5 clearances a game. The man's in good form. And this first half of the season, he's my player of the year for Philly, the Union. And my least impressive player. Remember when they lost this guy, Mark McKenzie?
Yeah.
And they brought in this guy, Stuart Finley.
Yeah, I figured you were going to go there. I thought about him too.
He's played 3 games, 180 minutes. And he just has not got on. They're playing with Glesnes and Jack Elliott, which makes sense. But Glesnes couldn't get a game last year because of Mark McKenzie, and now he's like the backup. So I was expecting a little bit more out of him. Other than that, maybe Ali Bedoya, but I'll stick with Stuart Finley on that one.
Yeah, I think that's probably the better choice over Bedoya.
Yeah.
Bedoya is tough to read off of like a stat sheet.
Yeah, for sure.
No, I think that's pretty fair. I think I think we did a pretty good job with Philly.
Yeah.
Until we hear from the Philly fans about how we got it wrong.
How we absolutely slated it. All right, Western Conference, bottom half of the alphabet.
Sporting Kansas City.
Nope, one off. Seattle Sounders.
Oh, I was gonna guess them.
That's unlucky. That's unlucky. So I'll take this one first. So this is a really tough one. So if you go to whoscored.com and look at their ratings for the Seattle Sounders, there are 8 players who have at least played 8 games or more that all have ratings above 7. So to pick a very good player is very hard. But my best player and my most impressive player are going to be the same person, and they will be Raul Ruidiaz. And I know this was something where I said, like, oh, we expect them to be good. Raul Ruidiaz has been leading or is close to the lead in the Golden Boot race. And if I just double check this here, Nico Ladera's played 5 games, and 4 of them were sub appearances. He has done this without the best playmaker in the West. I would say in the league, but Caden Clark exists, so I can't give him a league. But he has done what he's done without the best playmaker in the West, and that is extremely impressive for me. And if you are up that high in the Golden Boot ranking, you're probably one of the best players on the team as well. So Raul takes both of those for me. And my least impressive player, another tough one. Again, how do you pick a bad player on a team that's that good? Kellen Rowe, he's been again, a tough guy to pick out on the stat sheet, right? But 1 goal, 0 assists, 30 minutes played. 75% pass completion rate. He just, again, I'm not saying he's been bad. I'm just saying he's been kind of unimpressive in the role that he's been playing. If I look at some of these in-depth stats here, he's had 1 game. Most of his ratings are bang near 6 flat, which is where you start on the Who Scored ratings. So he has been okay. He's also been ran around a bunch. He's played center mid. He's played right back. He's played right mid. He played left wing at one point. Very versatile. So I understand why his stats are kind of weird like that. But yeah, just kind of to me.
I'm gonna go a little different. Just because, like, I wholly agree with you. I would have picked Rui Diaz as well, but this team is too good not to just pick Rui Diaz and call it a day. I want to definitely shine a light on some of the other players. So my pick for best player is going to be João Paulo.
Okay.
I think he's just been one of the best midfielders in the league this season. I didn't even realize he had 7 assists already. That's pretty wild. Just because I always pictured him more so as a defensive midfielder. But, I think he's been a huge reason they've been able to stay successful after losing Jordan Morris. Even though he's not necessarily playing that same position, I just think he's helped to make it a lot easier to transition to like a new style of play. And I think he's a highly influential player for them. And then I'll make kind of a weird one for most. What do we most not most improved, most I forget what we call it.
Most impressive. I know.
Yeah.
I know. Your brain's fried because of numbers.
Yeah. I'm gonna pick kind of a weird one. I'm gonna go with Freddie Montero. I feel like he started this season not really getting a lot of game time. And then lately he's been playing much more. And I feel like every time I see a Seattle scoreline nowadays, I see him on the score sheet. I mean, he's got 6 goals in 803 minutes. That's borderline on par with the goal rate that Rui Diaz is going on right now. Like I think he's been huge for them. I mean, obviously he's not, like I said, he's not the most important player to their team, and he's definitely number 2 on the striker depth chart. But I feel like he's been a very solid player for what I kind of expected his role to be in the Seattle team. And then least, Least is tough, kind of like you said. I'll go. Oh man, Shane O'Neill. Not even sure. It's hard to say because that's another one where it's like, how do you read it off a stat sheet? He's a defender, but they have him rated at like a 6.5, and he's gotten the game time. He's gotten, I think, 13 starts, 3 sub appearances. So I mean, he's out there. And it's odd to me because I see Yamar, I see Ariaga, and they both have over a 7 rating, and then Shane O'Neill is a 6.5. It's so far off. It feels weird. It almost feels like he maybe doesn't look so bad on the stat sheet because he gets picked up by Ariaga and he gets picked up by Yamar. But
Seems like they're getting him across the line there for sure.
yeah, so I'll go with Shane O'Neill. Again, it's really hard to pick for this team. They're just so good.
Yeah, I mean, I guess honorable mention for most impressive, Stephen Cleveland, filling in for Stephen Fry.
It's a Stefan thing.
Yeah, it's got to be Stephen goalkeepers.
It's a requirement. It's a requirement for Seattle goalkeepers. That's why Spencer Ritchie's not getting game time.
That's why he's sitting on the bench. But yeah, so that's cool. I like that. All right, who's next? I will say Western Conference top half of the alphabet.
Top half of the alphabet. Are they a real team?
I cannot describe.
I'm gonna guess FC Dallas.
You're right again. I'm such a loser. So we did Seattle, we did Philly. I'm just making notes in my notes to make sure that I've hit everybody I need to hit. Go ahead, FC Dallas.
Okay. Ryan Hollingshead for both of the good ones, and then that's all I need.
Ryan Hollingshead does not exist as a person. I refuse to acknowledge that.
All right, I'll go for the same player for most impressive and best player, Ricardo Pepi.
Yeah, that was a pretty easy one.
Yeah, I mean I think he's been their best player, and it's been pretty easy to figure that one out. He just keeps scoring, and honestly, it's great to see. Hopefully, he gets a call up for the U.S. soon. Most underperforming.
Well, I'd say hopefully. Sorry, before you keep going. I too hope that he gets one, but we all know that if he gets one, Jonathan Lewis doesn't. So I wouldn't expect him to be around anytime
soon. That's fair. What's a team without Jonathan Lewis?
Matt sent me a picture the other day. He goes, I think he might have sent it in the group. He goes, he had a picture of the U.S. men's national team. He goes, he like started it and he's like, who would you change on this team? And it was like all the good guys. And he put like Tyler Boyd in. I'm like, oh, you got to get Tyler Boyd out there. He goes, yeah, you're right. I go, you got to bring in Jordan Lewis. He goes, respect.
Jordan Lewis? Who's Jordan Lewis?
Have you not heard the story?
Is he with Aaron Trusty?
No, have you not heard the story? I swear you've heard the story.
I'm not sure. Have I?
Matt and I go, so tangent. Matt and I go to our first derby together. Me and him sitting where it was the VIA versus BWP game. We're sitting like 11 rows off the field at the baseball stadium, and we're watching this game, and it is blowing up. It's such a good game. And there's this guy behind us who's been on his phone most of the half.
Oh, okay. I do remember this story.
And so we'll keep going while we're here. So this guy's on his phone for most of the half, and he just turns to his mom and goes, yes, they're finally bringing on Jordan Lewis. He's my favorite player.
Oh, God.
And Matt and I just look at each other and just start dying. Again, this was still when they had, I won't say like a fake fan base, but it was still very new. So the people were still learning soccer and learning about how it all works. So I'm not going to, highlight anybody for that. But yeah, that's where that comes from. So every time we talk about him, we talk about Jordan Lewis. It's a little inside joke there that now the world knows.
Now the whole world knows.
Yeah.
For my disappointing, I'll go for the easy one. I'll just go for Frank O'Hara. Can always say Gohara.
You can always say Franco Hara. I guess we're on the same. You're reading my screen, then it seems.
Yeah, were those all your selections too?
Yeah. So obviously I didn't have a selection, but I said obviously FC Dallas, most impressive. LOL. None of these people are real, but obviously it's Pepe. And then least impressive, Franco Hara. It was meant to be what Pepe is. So it's Franco Hara. Those are my notes. No stats, no numbers, because none of these people are real. We're living in a simulation, and FC Dallas is like the pinnacle of simulation.
All right, that was an easy one.
That was an easy one. So just to recap, Pepe most impressive, Pepe best player, Hara least impressive. Go team.
Go team.
Top half Eastern Conference.
Atlanta United.
Nope. DC United. R.I.P. Benny Ball. It must always be said. My most impressive, Kevin Paredes. Kevin Paredes. There's a Twitter account called MLS Buzz. I should get a shot. Hello world. MLS Buzz goes on and on and on about getting on the Kevin Paredes hype train, and he's got a point. This 18-year-old is a perfect fit for Benny Ball. He plays as a winger, a wing back, a center mid, a striker. This dude can play anywhere. Benny would love this guy. But he plays so out of his age. If you watch him play, it looks like he's been playing the game for, 6-7 years. He's 18 years old. Man just knows how to play the game. Definitely the most impressive player for me. Best player. Now I got to go and run this back. I think we got to say Ola Kamara, right? Ola Kamara having an absolute worldie of a year. Yeah, what's he got? 11 goals in 800 minutes. Are we kidding? 11 goals, 2 assists in 800 minutes. Anybody else is just a fraud at this point. Man has been out of his mind up top. That's really funny. Just a side note, who scored has Paul Arriola as a right back. So Benny Ball is still alive and well. But yeah, Ola Kamara, easily the best player. And then my least impressive player, it's got to be Edison Flores, right? This is yet another year we've been waiting for this guy to be a game changer as a designated player. He was signed a couple years ago, and it was under a weird type of transitional few years. But this team isn't in trend. I mean, it is, but how many years are we going to say? I mean, oh, we're in a transition. We can wait another year. He's got to get it done, and he doesn't. 1 goal, 2 assists in about 700 minutes. He's my least impressive player for this half of the season.
Yeah, my list is pretty much the same. The only difference is I would say Ola Kamara for most impressive and best player, and okay. I would say Flores for least impressive. I just think what Ola Kamara is doing, like, way above probably what people were expecting from him. I mean, I know he's always been a solid goal scorer in the league, but like you said, 11 goals in 821 minutes. That's insane.
Yeah, no, definitely. I completely agree, but I think Kevin Paredes also deserves a shout for being.
That's fair.
He'll be on his way out to Europe real soon, I think.
Yeah.
All right. Western Conference top half.
Houston Dynamo.
Nope. The New Boys, Austin FC.
Should be an interesting one.
Go right ahead.
I will say best player, and I'm sorry, I'm going for another safe one on this one, but Alex Ring. He's always just going to be so dependable. Dude is just as rock solid as it comes. Who's been the most impressive? I would say. All right, so just based on what I would expect going into the season, I'm kind of impressed with what Diego Fagundez has done. He's got 4 goals, 2 assists. He's second in goal contributions behind Cecilio Dominguez. And granted, that's not saying a lot because they don't score any goals. But the way Diego Fagundes was trending with New England, I'm kind of surprised that he's been able to get up to that level here with Austin. I know once upon a time he was doing that with New England, but it felt like the trend was downward for him, and he's starting to turn it around. He's been a constant starter in their team, and he's doing stuff on the field for them. So yeah, or I would say him or Brad Stuver.
Okay, that was
I'm
my go-to.
Yeah, I totally missed him.
Yeah,
I'm probably gonna go Brad Stuver over Diego Fagundes, but I'll still shout for Diego Fagundes.
shout out Diego, but that's the right answer. Go
Yeah.
ahead on your least impressive, I think.
Least impressive, probably Rodney Radis.
Mhm.
I feel like he was one of their big name attacking guys that they were signing at the start of the season. I was kind of excited to see like him, Dominguez, Pochettino together. I was like, oh, they're getting all these exciting young South American players. It's very Atlanta-esque. And he's had 16 appearances, has a 6.11 rating on who scored. That's pretty bad. One assist. He's only got 494 minutes. Granted, I don't know if he's had injuries. This doesn't say, but I mean, he's been involved in 16 games. I feel like it's likely that maybe if he did have an injury, it was only for a short time. I just think he's not getting in. He's not getting into the games, and he's just not doing much. So yeah, he's my least impressive.
Yeah, so that was pretty spot on to what I had as well. The correct answer for most impressive, and I'm going to go throw him into best player as well, is Brad Stuber. The only reason that their games are as close as they are is because Brad Stuber has kept them that way. The man has played out of his absolute mind. This I'm just looking up to see if he's been injured at all. But the man's been out of his mind this season, keeping them into as many games as he can. So that is why he'll be most impressive and and best player for me. And I also put Redes in there. No injuries. Was the club's first signing, meant to be the guy that would come in and do the job for them. And it seems that it just hasn't happened. He hasn't gotten up to speed. He hasn't. I don't know what happened, but it just hasn't clicked for him yet. And like you said, when he came in as their first signing with Dominguez and Fagundes and all these, South American guys, a little bit disappointing for me. So Redes is also my pick. I agree.
Go team.
Woo! All right. Eastern Conference top half.
Inter Miami.
Atlanta United. You unlucky. So my most impressive for Atlanta United, Marcelino Moreno finally came out of his shell and started playing like a number 10. Probably due in part to the coaching change, right? I very heavily focused my attention on the post change team, but he's been phenomenal. Excuse me. My least impressive, Jurgen Damm. Jurgen Damm came in to be the Julian Gressel replacement at right wing back, and he has gotten 100 minutes this entire season. Just a complete. I don't want to call him a flop because I think he still has a chance to get in there. But if Jake Mulroney's starting over you, you might just want to retire. Best player, I think there's no real question about it. Machop Chol, by name alone. Is that okay? Is that acceptable?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
I think you gotta. So I don't want to keep doing the best player, most impressive player thing, but Marcelino Moreno kind of fits that bill. There's a shout for Josef coming back, 6 goals in 945 minutes, and a red card. Love that. But I'll go Moreno here. I think if you look at any game that Atlanta plays, Moreno is always the focus, much like Miggy was the focus when he was here. So
Yep.
I'll go with that.
It's pretty fair. Did you do least impressive?
Yeah, Jurgen Damm can't get over.
Oh,
James.
yeah. Okay.
Sad.
So wholly agree with you. Moreno's definitely been the best player. I think for me, that's a pretty easy choice. Been pretty happy with what he's been able to do. I do feel like Barco's starting to kind of get it together with ever since they got rid of Hines. I just don't think he's up to Moreno's level yet. For me, most impressive, I'm gonna go with Anton Walks. When they signed Alan Franco, I didn't even expect him to be a part of the starting 11 anymore. But I feel like they made their formation so that he would still be a part of it. I think he's been impressive. Again, I don't think he's the best player on their team, let alone even the best player in their back line. But for what I expected out of him at the start of the season, to be more of like a bench presence, I think he's been very solid for them. I think he's had a really good impact on the team. And least impressive for me, Eric Lopez. Kind of was when they signed him last year, was kind of expecting him to be the heir to Josef's striker throne. And he's come in, he started, I don't really know how this works. Is it started 10 and then
Started
the
10,
parentheses is 7?
subbed on 7. Yep.
He said 7. He's been out there 17 times. He's got 1 goal. He hasn't really been able to get it together. He just hasn't been able to have that impact on the team.
That
And
being said, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. That
no,
being
go ahead.
said, it does not mean he won't be the heir apparent. He's still
Yeah,
19
of course.
years old.
Yeah, he's very young.
But yeah, this definitely seems to have been a rough one for him, I think.
Yeah, I mean, normally in this case, if you were asking me like the player that I think's been the most disappointing, I mean, I would probably say Kubo Torres, but I just also did not have high expectations for Kubo at all. So it's hard for me to say like, oh, he's been the least impressive. Whereas like Eric Lopez, I had some expectations for, and he just hasn't hit them really at all.
Sure, yeah.
Oh, I mean, you could also. Well, no, I can't really. You can't really go for that one. That's kind of unfair. I was thinking Lissandro Lopez, but
he came in straight up to be a play for like 7 games and you're out.
he didn't even make it.
He was an international, so he had to clear a roster spot.
Yeah,
as I learned,
he made it 2 games and then his contract was mutually terminated.
Yeah. I think the signing, if we look at now that I've played Football Manager for like a quarter of the season, that they basically signed him on like, dude, you're 37. We'll let you come in. We'll pay you this much money. Once Josef comes back, we're cutting you loose. And he's like, I bet.
I'm not going to pick him, but honorable mention for least impressive, maybe Emerson Heineman as well.
He's been definitely under impressive. Yeah.
I think he's only got 7 games. So you got to figure he probably got the boot out of the lineup. I know Sosa's in there. They've been playing Sadic. Yeah, I'm not sure. It doesn't feel like he's in and around the team much anymore.
Yeah, I hear you.
I'll still stick with Lopez though.
Nice.
Granted, like you said, he's so young. There's still plenty of time for him to turn around. I just think it's been a very slow start.
Top half Western Conference.
Top half Western Conference. LAFC.
LA Galaxy. Unlucky.
Unbelievable.
Go ahead. You can go first.
Oh man, can I put Greg Vanny as as the best player on the team?
Greg Vanny has been really good.
I'm debating between 2 guys. Obviously it's Jonathan Klinsmann with his 8.78 rating, right? I want to put. I'm trying to figure. Okay, I think I want to put one of them in most impressive and one of them in best player.
I've got it split.
I think we're gonna go with different players. They've had a couple. I feel like could be in the running. I have a feeling I know who you went with. All right, I'm gonna say
Best player.
best player. Raveloson. I don't know how to pronounce that name.
Ravellison.
Raveloson. Sorry. Yeah, Raveloson. I'm gonna say best player Raveloson, and I'm gonna say most impressive Chicharito.
Okay. Both wrong, but okay. And then your least impressive.
Well, I just want to say, like, I think Chicharito, had he been playing and didn't get injured, I'd probably put him as best player, but he's been out for a little while now. So I wanna go with Raveloson because I think ever since he came in, he's been super solid for them. He playing center defensive
Agreed.
mid, playing center back, scoring 5 goals from that position. It's
Agreed.
crazy.
Yeah, no, he's been very, very good. Absolutely.
But Chicharito, based on like what we saw from him last year, expectations were pretty low for him, and what he was able to do was really impressive. And then the most disappointing.
There's only one answer for this one. There's no split on this.
All right, let me make sure I find them. Oh man, you really put the pressure on. Oh man, I don't know.
It's not that hard. Sitting here waiting.
I know.
You think I'm gonna give you my shouts.
Okay, go ahead.
Because of the way that he got this season onto the right foot. Yes, he's been injured. Chicharito is the best player on this team. He came in, he knew he had a bad season, came in, worked his butt off, because it's a PG show. Worked his butt off. 10 goals in 10 games. He hasn't played in like weeks, and he's still like second or third in the Golden Boot race. He is far and away the best player on this team. The most impressive player on this team, and a player who's been absolutely shafted by this website, is Jonathan Bond. If you watch Jonathan Bond play for a minute, I watched him play against San Jose the other day. That man is not a human. The saves that he makes, the double saves, the triple save, this man is absolutely out of his mind. Maybe a little goalkeeper bias there, but Jonathan Bond is my most impressive player. Great signing. I think he's up for signing of the season, newcomer of the year. I would not be shocked if he earns it. Goalkeeper of the year is a stretch, but I think newcomer of the year is not. He's been phenomenal. Yeah, but it's funny because even when he's out, Jonathan Klinsmann comes in and just they've got like one of the best 1-2 combos in the game.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you figured out who the least impressive person is?
No, I can't.
The answer is Jonathan Dos Santos. Jonathan Dos Santos has been one of the most underperforming big names in this league since we've kicked off in May or March or whenever that we kicked off. He has been just non-existent, right? 1 goal, 90% pass completion. But what has he done defensively? Let's take a look. Half a tackle a game, a foul a game, gets beat at least once a game, a little bit more. Offensively, takes 1 shot a game, makes 1 key pass, doesn't draw fouls. Passing, 44 passes a game, 91% pass percentage. You know what that means to me? It's sideways and backwards. He doesn't draw anything going forward. He doesn't do anything. He just exists. Last year of his contract, I doubt that he comes back, which opens up another designated player spot for the Los Angeles Galaxy, which is terrifying. He's been just bang average and completely underwhelming. So that's the answer.
That's fair. I just I know he's typically like a guy that's not usually on the stat sheet, So it was hard for me to be like, oh yeah, it's definitely Jonathan Dos Santos because I haven't watched a lot of Galaxy. So
No, sure, but the drop from his intangible stats, right? The tackles per game, the passes per game. He used to be the best number 8 in the game in terms of taking people on, breaking up play. Now he just exists. Not great. Not great.
fair enough.
I know. That's why I run the show and you just show up with your big smile and fat head.
Yep.
Bottom half Eastern Conference. Actually,
Nashville.
I'm going to start making. Okay, no, it's Toronto. You got it's. I'll start making it a little easier. I'll use standings, and I'll tell you bottom half.
Okay.
Oh God, they are still dreadful.
Yeah, they're awful.
They're getting back into it. My God, they're awful. Do you go first? Oh, I go first.
Yeah.
Toronto FC. Most impressive for me. Actually, you know what I'll do? I'll say best player for me. Do I want to say most? Soteldo fits into one of them. I'm just not sure which one I want to put him in. I'll go Soteldo most impressive. I think he has come in as the next heir to Giovinco per se, which I think is really nice for that team because they needed somebody like that. Best player, I'm still going to go with Pozuelo. He came back from injury and didn't miss a beat. 4 assists and a goal over 900-ish minutes. So that'll be my 2 there. Who scores says Omar Gonzalez is the 3rd best player on the team, and that's exactly why they're
ridiculous.
dead last. That's exactly why they're dead last in the East. Disgusting.
Yeah. I don't believe that for a second that he's the 3rd best player on their team.
I do. Have you seen how bad they are? They're disgusting. They're awful.
I just watched a clip of him from this last weekend, absolutely getting torched by someone. I forget who.
That's the 3rd best player on their team. My least impressive player had to be a backline player. We knew that. I was gonna pick Omar for the memes, but this guy Luke Singh, he's only played 6 games, but it's been very recent. He's been coming into kind of fill that spot. To me, he was supposed to be the next guy up when Zavaleta 29, Omar Gonzalez 32, Chris Mavinga 30. When these guys all started working their way out, he was supposed to take the next step up. I watched a ball get played from the goalkeeper over the top of his head, him look at it, try and check to the ball, try and not even turn and run. He tried to backpedal, got beat, and they scored. And that's not the first time I've seen him do that. He's just not that impressive. Zavaleta is also a shout, but like either one of those 2 are my least impressive. And I think Singh has had a shout to kind of convince the guys up top or upstairs to say, hey, I'm good to be your next guy. He's not ready. So.
All right. So for me, completely agree on the first 2. Soteldo, most impressive. Pozuelo, best player. And by the way, the Giovinco replacement is Pozuelo. He is Giovinco's replacement. I feel like in every way.
I did forget about him for a while because he was hurt, but they needed somebody to fill in with Pozuelo. So no, that's totally fair. Yeah.
Least impressive for me. You're gonna hate me for this one. I'm gonna go with Kamar Lawrence.
No, I thought about him a lot. I was thinking about giving him a little bit more time first.
No, I think that's fair. But I mean, if we're doing this right now, this was literally the best left back in the league not too long ago.
Mm-hmm.
And he's come back and he is on the back line of the dead last team. And he's had 14 games here. So yes, probably is a little bit early, but I'm still going to include him because this guy, just because of how high his expectations are, just because of what he was able to accomplish previously in the league. And
No,
that might be
I'm with
harsh.
you there.
That might be harsh, just
I
because
think
there's definitely guys that are worse than him on this team.
no, for sure, for sure. I think I definitely think it might be a little harsh. I was going to give him a little bit more time. When I saw that name, I thought about it. I got to get the shot. Hello, world. I definitely thought about that. I thought that he could be a shout. Um, However, I want to give him a little bit more time because he didn't really get on in Belgium either. You know, it took him a while to get into that team too. So I don't remember if he had a slow. I don't think he had a slow start in Red Bull, but that's because I think he just fit the system so well. Oh, I missed the system. No, I'm cool with it. I'm definitely here for that because, yeah, I didn't realize he's getting up there in age. You know, he's 28 now. We had him at 24, and he was an animal. But no, I'm cool with that. I think that's a totally fair shout. Top half of the East is where we go next.
FCC.
I wish.
Oh wait, you mean standings? Top
Top
half.
half standings,
Oh, I
yes.
thought you were talking alphabet.
I
Okay.
still wish. I wish.
NYCFC.
Correct. NYCFC it is. You go first on this one.
Okay. I'm gonna say best player for them be Tati Castellanos.
Yeah.
8 goals, 6 assists, 14 goal contributions. He's always just super solid for them. Most impressive, Jesus Medina. He obviously we talked about him a lot in the past and just being underwhelming as a designated player signing. But this season he's kind of stepped up to the plate much more than he has in the past. So definitely been impressed with what he's been able to do. And then most disappointing. It's a good question. I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe. I mean, just looking at what's here on Who Scored It, I'm tempted to go for Amundsen. I want to pick someone that's gotten some game time. I don't want to pick someone that really hasn't played too much or is like a young team because I don't watch them enough. Like I feel like I know enough Atlanta that I could realistically feel okay about picking Lopez, but here I don't watch enough NYCFC. I mean, it's
What an
so
un-
harsh, but
what an
a part of me almost wants to say Tinnerholm just because I see him as like the best right back in the league, and I just don't think he's been that this season. But I think I'll go Amundsen. I mean, he was supposed to be their starting left back. I kind of thought he would do a bit more for them. Just judging by the amount of sub appearances he has, it seems like he's not really the starting left back anymore, or maybe he's getting it now, but it's hard on this team as well because it's a pretty good team. But I'm curious to know what you think because I'm sure you have your thoughts.
I'm curious to know who said that they wanted to do this episode and get some time to prep for it, and then comes in doesn't know who he wants to pick. What
I
an
still made my pick.
what an unprofessional podcast. Ridiculous. Canceled this pod. No, I agree with you on Tati being the best player. There's no question he has been exactly what he has been the good side of what we were wondering he would be. We said that he was going to come in because they didn't sign a striker all off season, and it was going to be everything on Tati Castellanos. Is he going to show up and be the 8 goals, 6 assist guy that he is today, or is he going to go in flop and these guys aren't going to score a goal for months? He has come in and been an absolute monster, and I hate to say that because I hate this man with a passion. He's a diving little. We're PG podcast. He dives a lot. He cries, he complains, but when the job comes to it, he gets the job done. Really, like I said, I am not happy for him, but it is cool to see him fill the role that he has been asked to fill. Jesus Medina is also my most impressive. We've been waiting for a couple of years now for him to fill in the DP role that he has been in. And he's finally done it. I think the system has finally worked around him a little bit. I think he was playing out of position more frequently than not under Vieira and early Dyla. So I think playing him as like a withdrawn kind of second, kind of like a forward more than a winger has done wonders for him. My least impressive is Andres Yasin. I remember coming into the season with lots of rumors saying that Ronnie Dyla was really high on Andres Yasin, 19-year-old winger. And if you look at his game time, he started off and started the first 4 games, I think. 1, 2, 3. First 3 games, playing 88, 87, 66 minutes. And then he played 59 minutes on the 24th of June. And from that point on, he's played 7 minutes, 9 minutes, 0 minutes. I'm not sure how that happens. 26 minutes, 4 minutes, and 13 minutes. So this is a guy who had a chance to make a spot his own. And whether he got dropped because of formation change, because we've seen a few people do that, or just because he was out of favor, he didn't make it his own. So again, 19, very similar to Eric Lopez. He's got a chance to, he'll be totally fine. But in terms of what was expected of him this year, he's definitely underperformed.
That's pretty fair. But I wasn't going to pick someone because he was so young, and I just don't know enough about him to know.
No, for sure, yeah.
But yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, like I said, I just remember vividly reading that this guy was going to be a really big feature, and I haven't seen him since. But that's what happens when you don't have a life and you get to read those stories all night.
All right, who's up next?
Oh, I got to check the standings for this. I don't know where they're at. Bottom half of the West.
Bottom half of the West. Vancouver.
No, I wish. I have such a good one for Vancouver. No, it's Portland Timbers. Might go first, right?
You go first.
All right. The Portland Timbers were an interesting one for me. I think that they have definitely, you can consider this season for them not good. They're usually top 3, top 4, depending on if Minnesota's having a good year. Obviously, they're not in the playoffs right now. That being said, I wish I've seen more of them, but work hasn't let me stay up that late. I think the best player for me.
It's a tough one.
It is, because there's nobody who stands out as like, this guy has been a baller.
Yeah.
I'll go Felipe Mora, best player, 7 goals, 2 assists. 1,000 minutes. He's filled that role well. He's filled the role well enough where they let Jabo go, who is killing it in San Jose, by the way. Good for him. So I'll give Felipe Mora the best of the best. Most impressive, and I feel like I need to pick this one because I'm forced to eat my words. Eric Williamson is going to have to take this one. I put my hand up in apology to anybody who, I think that one only got like 4 views on TikTok. I'm not even worried. No, I think I owe Eric Williamson an apology. He has played very well. He didn't really even get time in the Gold Cup, so it's like it doesn't even count. So he's been very good for them. Not in terms of goal scoring contributions as a defensive mid, but in terms of defensive work that he's done, and really turning into more of a number 8. He's been very good. My least impressive, and I need to do some stat checking on this guy to see where he was at last year, but Andy Polo, somebody I've been waiting to break out for it feels like 8 years now. And he just, in a team that has a Valeri and a Blanco and a ton of these people who are out and he could step in and make a difference. He's only played 12 times in the last 2 years for these guys. And I really wanted him to break out this year. So I think it's a little harsh calling him underperforming considering we didn't expect much from him. But this was something I was hoping this was a year I was hoping he could break out. So I'm open to hearing other ones, but on a team that's just been relatively underperforming in general, I was hoping he could kind of step in and be that guy. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, it's really hard to pick underperforming to this team. Man, it would be harsh, but you could almost say like Valeri, just because of what he's able to do in the past versus like what he's done this season. I know he's getting older. He's 35 at this point, but he's just been so quiet this year. I mean, even last year when he had more of a substitute role, I still feel like he was so influential. Yeah, it's just been it's been radio silence on hearing his name this year.
True.
But it's so hard for what he's done for this team. I don't care if he goes out there and gets a red card every game. It'd be so hard to call him the least impressive player. I agree with you on the first two. Moore, best player. Williamson, most impressive. It's hard to pick. It's hard to pick the least impressive. Maybe Mabiala.
I was thinking about Mabiala too. That entire back line has been kind of woeful. 6 goals against the Sounders, 4 goals against the Galaxy, 3 goals against Boston, who have the worst defense or worst attack in the league. So I'm cool with any of those. That whole back line has been pretty underwhelming.
Yeah, I gotta go with someone in the back line just because they've given up the second most goals in the league. So that's really been there.
That's really bad.
Yeah, that's where they're struggling the most.
Yeah, I'm cool with it. Like I said, I've been waiting for
that's fair.
to break out for like 9 years. But I'm totally cool with that too. It's not who's going to call us out, right? Top half of the West, unless you have anything else to say.
Nope, good.
Top half of the West.
The Colorado Rapids.
Correct. Go on. You are 2 for 2, my friend.
Let's go. All right. What do we got here? All right. Best player for me, I'm going to go Jack Price. It's an easy one. Jack Price is I feel like he's the heart and soul of that team.
Is it Jack Price because he's the heart and soul of that team, or is it Jack Price because he gets a lot of fantasy points? Boundaries.
I am not Adam.
Are you? We need somebody to be. Fathead Connor is all about the Jack Price fantasy points.
What do you think? He said Jack Price.
Jack.
I'm gonna say most impressive.
You're not allowed to say Sam Vines. Sorry, just want to put that out there.
I wasn't gonna say Sam Vines.
Good.
It's tough. There's a couple people I would maybe want to go with. I'll say Wallace Abubakar. I think. Just looking at this, he's got strong numbers on the season, and Colorado is very, very good defensively. I think it felt like he was the odd man out in Columbus, and then kind of just got shipped off because they didn't want to have him just taking up a spot on the bench. And he came into Colorado and he's really made it his own. I think he's been impressive, above the expectations that I personally would have for him. I think he's been one of the better defenders in the league. And the least impressive, I'm gonna go with Jordan Lewis. This guy has been in and around call ups for the men's national team, and he can't even start for his team. I think he's always had this. For some reason, he's always had this hype around him, I, and I just he's never lived up to that hype. I mean, he can't get consistent starting time in his team. So yeah, I mean, he's the least impressive for me.
Okay, I'm cool with that. Yeah, I'll take the same. 7 assists out of Jack Price is easily. He pulls all the strings. He gets everything done. So no question on that one. Most impressive for me is Cole Bassett. Cole Bassett is a 20-year-old center midfielder. For anybody who doesn't know, 3 goals, 2 assists over 1,500 minutes, give or take. But I think it's shocking he's not getting as much international attention as all the other young midfielders we've got. I think he's been really, really good. And I think he definitely deserves some of those call-ups. But yeah, he's just been in a very good Colorado team. He hasn't even missed a beat with all the adults in the league, for lack of a better term. My least impressive was also Jonathan Lewis. If you get a national team call up and you can't start for your team, and you've gotten 500 minutes, 3 starts, and only going 90 minutes for one of them, boo you, my friend. Boo you.
Nice.
Next up, bottom half of the East.
FCC.
Yep, this will be a quick one. Best player, most impressive, Acosta. He's been like the only good player. Least impressive, I wrote everybody who got their loan canceled or let go in the middle of just the mess that was their like that month period where everybody was just leaving. But Brenner is the obvious answer, because you don't sign somebody for $15 million and get him 1 goal. Is that it? Is he on 1 goal? I think
He's on 5.
5 goals? When did he score 5 goals?
I think he's been scoring some more lately.
They have looked better going forward, but he definitely has been scoring more lately. In the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games, FCC have scored a total of 2 goals. So he definitely has been scoring lately.
Okay, that's fair enough.
His goals came. He got a brace against Montreal in the 5-4. When did he score 2 goals? When did Montreal Cincinnati play 5-4? That didn't happen.
You don't remember that game? What?
No, what?
FCC had like a 2-goal lead twice in that game.
Oh, that's right. Yes, that's right. He had one against Orlando, and he scored one. He scored the goal when they got blown out this week against New England. But yeah, he's been not what people thought about.
For me, I'm gonna go with Lucia's best. Did you also say Lucia's most impressive? I don't remember.
Yeah, they're all the same.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair. I think Lucci's probably best and most impressive.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go Yuya Kubo is least impressive. I know they're kind of playing him all over the place on the field, but
the guy's playing center defensive mid.
He's an attacking player and he's got 0 goals, 0 assists this season.
Yeah, that's what happens. He plays 6.
I can't imagine he's playing 6 every game.
No, he really has. He's been in the 6 more than he's been.
All right, so then I'm not going to slate him for that. Then if they're playing,
he's played 13 minutes. He's played 13 appearances as an 8 and 5 as a 6. Bro,
I'll go with
Benny's turning over in his grave right now. Metaphorical.
Benny Ball never dies.
His coaching grave
never dies.
Never.
I'll go Harris Medunjanin. I feel like he was and I get it, he's older, he's 36 now. He was always a solid player over the last couple of seasons. I don't know necessarily about like last season, but I can think back to like his days with Philly and then transitioning into the beginning of FCC. And I've always seen him as a very solid player. And nowadays he doesn't seem like he could really even get on the field anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But He's 36. I mean, eventually that progression is going to happen where you kind of just other people come in.
Yep.
But and just looking at the name, just strictly looking at the name, I would normally, I feel like, see a bit more from him. But
No,
I understand.
Yeah. Yeah. Top half of the West.
Real Salt Lake.
Nope. San Jose.
Am I up first?
I believe you are up first. Yep.
All right. I'm gonna go with Jackson Ewell for everything.
Stop it.
I'm gonna go with Nathan as the most impressive, because I didn't know anything about him coming in, and I feel like he's been super, super solid for them.
Yeah, his mid-season signing, I thought he's stepped in really, really well.
Yeah. I think best player is Christian Espinosa. Oh, wait, no, sorry. Scrap most impressive. I'm going to go Cade Cowell.
Cool.
I know he's had a slower second half of the year, but still getting 4 goals, 4 assists at 17 years old. Yeah, he's most impressive. And then least impressive, Andy Rios. 4 starts, 15 sub appearances, 0 goals, 0 assists. Even Wando's got 2 goals. Like he's just been. I mean, you're just counting down the days at this point until he's gone.
Yeah, pretty much. That my best player. My best player is going to be my most impressive player because I watched them play yesterday, and it might have been a one-time thing, but Chofis Lopez, the new signing from this year, is like what everything goes through, and they didn't have any of that last year. So he played as a false 9 against LA. Has been playing more of a 10 role when they get a striker on the field, but he is so good on the ball. He is so calm and collected. He's Espinosa is good, but he's only good because Chofis makes him good, if that makes sense. Like last year,
he was good before Chofis got here.
Espinosa did most of the stuff on his own last year. This year, it's all because of Chofis. Chofis is creating so much space for him; it's ridiculous. And then I had Rios as well as my least impressive. He is the opposite of what Tati Castellanos was to us at the beginning of the year. He went the other way in terms of being not very good. So,
yep.
Bottom half of the West.
Vancouver.
Nope. LAFC. For me, best player is pretty self-explanatory. Mr. Rossi has been lighting the world on fire still. Where are his stats? Yeah, 6 goals and an assist in 1,500 minutes.
Call that lighting the world on fire.
Huh?
You call that lighting the world on fire? 6 goals and 1 assist?
No. I'll be honest with you. I thought he had so much more. I was reading some tweets yesterday about him being like really, really good. And because
he scored yesterday.
He did score yesterday. He's still the leading scorer, and things are going through him. But I will change my pick to Carlos Vela. 9 goal contributions in 1,200 minutes sounds a lot better. But he's 32 and not going anywhere. So most impressive for me, Jose Cifuentes. 8 goal contributions in about 1,350 minutes. And a guy who, if I remember correctly, kind of was struggling to get game time last year. I could be wrong there. Let me double check. Roughly the same amount of minutes, but not nearly the type of contribution that he had. And it was also during that weird COVID year. So a goal and 2 assists last year. He's, broken out of his shell this year. And my least impressive was Corey Baird. I know he's not on the team anymore, but if you sign the guy for big money, then sell him on for roughly the same amount, that is as underperforming as you can get.
That's hard to put on Corey Baird.
I disagree.
He had 5 goal contributions in the short time that he was here. I mean, I think that's more so on management for selling him for the same amount that they bought him for.
Yeah, I just don't think I get it, but I just don't think he's done enough to. I still think when they brought him in, he was expected to be much better than what he had. Where was he? I just had him. Corey Baird. There he is. So in 800 minutes, he's got 3 goals, 2 assists. I think they were expecting to have at least 7 or 8 goals by that time, which is extremely unrealistic, I know, but that's what they brought him in for, and he couldn't do it. So,
all right, I'm gonna say Villa as best player as well. Atuesta is pretty close second. I just think even if it's a quieter season for Villa, he was that far ahead that he can fall off this much and still be the best player. And to say he's fallen off is kind of wild, seeing how he's had 9 goal contributions and 15 starts and 2 sub appearances. Most impressive, wholly agree, Cifuentes. And then most disappointing or least impressive for me, I'm gonna go with Pablo Cisniega. I don't know if he's had an injury, but I remember when he was battling with Vermeer for game time, and it seemed like he had won that battle and he had the starting role, and now he's lost it. That's assuming that Romero has been starting the games recently. I might want to look into that one just to be sure. But assuming he's lost the starting job, I mean, that's for me when you come in as the guy that's supposed to be starting for them at the beginning of the season, and then how you're relegated to the bench. Not too impressive for me.
Yeah, I hear you there. So, that it? You got everybody?
Yeah.
All righty, cool.
This is gonna be a long episode. We might have to cut this in 2 parts.
Yeah, you want to just pause this real quick? I go to the bathroom.
Yeah, I'd be too.
All right, and that is the end of part 1 of most and least impressive players. Excuse me, most and least impressive players of the first half of the season. Let us know your thoughts on the clips, on the episode, wherever you get your podcasts. But the only way you can know is if you follow us. So make sure you go follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, everywhere social media is, we are. Make sure you follow us wherever you get your podcasts so you know when we go live. And make sure you are around for part 2. There are some pretty good teams coming up in part 2, like Red Bull.
You said good teams.
I did. Anything else you want to say?
Nope.
I'm pretty clear too. All right, so we will see you guys next week for part 2 of most impressive players and least impressive players of the first half of the 2021 MLS season. See ya.